Hello, Time Padawans. I'm your Jedi Master, and may the 4th be with you. Welcome to my top 10 of the Star Wars novels. Now, I've done multiple top 5, top 10 videos, and honestly, I think it's time that we talk about the other stuff that is just in Star Wars. There's comics, there's books, there's fan movies, there's all that kind of stuff. And I think now it's time to talk about the novels. Now, there are plenty of Star Wars novels out there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of them fit like are okay, others are and then of course there's some that are like bad, but it's not hurting anybody. So we had all variants. That being said, I have read several of the novels, and I'm gonna go ahead and count down my top 10 favorites. Number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Shadows of the Empire. Yes, I know you guys recognize this name because it is actually a video game as well. And not only that, there was a soundtrack, and there's a lot of stuff that went into this. And honestly, this is one of my favorite books simply because Dash Rendar is an amazing character. The story fits so well. Everything just works, and it not only that, it gives a little bit more backstory to our heroes, and it helps flesh out some things. For instance, do you remember the line, "A lot of Bothans died to get us this information"? Well, that actually takes place during this game. That is during this game, and it's very nice to see. With that being said, it's not the best book I think that there is. To be honest, there is a little bit of amateurish grammar to it. The sentences aren't as good as they could be, but it doesn't detract from the fact that the book is very well done. Number 9. Dark Empire. Now, this is actually a series of books, but I'm talking about the original Dark Empire. This is a pretty good book because it shows that no matter what, no matter how much of a Jedi that you are, you will struggle with the dark side. And that's what happens to Luke. He struggles with the dark side. He actually kneels before the Emperor's clone, I should say. Where did episode 9 get that from? But he struggles with the dark side in this book, and honestly, I think that it shows a little bit more of character from Luke that we have never seen before. Just the fact that he has this darkness inside of him still, because after the original trilogy, you really would think that he would turn away from having that darkness inside of him. We're not going to talk about the sequel trilogy yet, but he doesn't, and that's what makes this book very interesting. I do feel that it's not the most well-written book. The story does kind of suffer in some areas, and the pacing can be generally a little bit awkward, but I feel like it's still a terrific book, and it's really more of a character story, in my opinion. Number 8. Star Wars Republic Commando Hard Contact. Now, it's no secret that Star Wars Republic Commando is an absolutely fantastic game, and definitely one of the hidden gems in the Xbox library. That being said, there were actually books based on these games, or I shouldn't say based on the game. These were tie-ins, and the book arguably is a little bit better than the game. That being said, it's still not my favorite book, just because, honestly, there's just so much good content out there in terms of Star Wars novels. But this follows, obviously, an elite squadron of clone troopers. I'm not going to give away too much, just in case you have not ever seen the game or read the book. I do highly recommend that you both play the game and read the book. The book gives a little bit more detail where the game does not, and the game is very fun versus the book, which has these slower paced sections. The game is very action oriented. So the book is a little bit more like you want to sit down, have a good time, and just read something. Whereas the game is like, yeah, I want to get pumped up. I want to have some fun with it. I want to do some cool stuff. Number 7. Kenobi. Did you guys really think that I wasn't going to put that on this list? I mean, it's a character story about Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's an amazing character. Do I need to say more? Well, this delves into his backstory a lot more. And not only that, it takes place between the time of Episode 3 and A New Hope. This gives a lot of story of why Obi-Wan is now known as Old Ben Kenobi, why he's that crazy hermit who lives in the mountains, why he has decided to live in a hermit life, and how he's been keeping up with Luke all this time. It's honestly a very interesting story to read because it's so character driven. There's not much in the way of, say, an overarching plot in the book, but that's okay because, as I said, it's just it's a character study over a already tightly knit character. And to be fair, there is an overarching story. It's just Obi-Wan Kenobi's story is more interesting than the overarching story, I guess is the best way to say it. That being said, the overarching story is still fantastic. I would still put it at this level, even if it was just for the overarching story. As to why I put it at this level, despite the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi's story is so damn good, well, see number 6. Number 6. Revan. Need I say anything else? Revan is definitely one of the best characters to come out of the Star Wars extended universe. He is an interesting, he is a well fleshed out, he is a tightly knit character. And not only that, the Revan book actually has not only him, but Bastila and Mitra in it from Knights of the Republic 2. And Mitra is definitely one of my top 10 characters from any Star Wars video game, along with Revan. And honestly, I don't want to say too much about this book. I don't want to give away too much about this book, because I know I've talked a little bit more about the other books and kind of given them a little bit more of a spoiler, but I just don't want to talk about what happened in this book too much just because it's that good. And to be honest, I think everybody who is a fan of Knights of the Republic or the Old Republic or Knights of the Republic 2 should go out and get this book. It's actually on Amazon. You can buy it. And it's a fantastic read. I highly recommend it. Number 5. Bloodline. Yes, I'm going to get some flack for this. Yes, I realize some people are going to criticize me for putting this higher than Revan. But honestly, I thought that this book was pretty good. It takes place in the years before Star Wars The Force Awakens. I know the sequel trilogy is a bit of a split decision by fans, but Bloodline, it kind of feels not like the sequel trilogy. It's definitely a thing with the sequel trilogy, but at the same time, it fleshes out the story so well that I can't dislike it. And it talks about the Solo family and what happens up to the events, why Han and Leia are at basically opposite ends of the galaxy, why he's still doing the smuggling, why she's now a commander of the new rebellion. It's interesting, to say the least. I think that anybody who would pick up this book would actually be very pleased by it. Number 4. Ahsoka. Yes, another character study. This is another one of those standalone novels that's based on one character, Ahsoka Tano. A fan favorite among many fans, And honestly, the book that was written for her is definitely among the best, if not the best, character study of these kinds of books. Revan, Kenobi, all that kind of stuff, amazing books. But this one kind of just steps a level ahead of it. It gives a little bit more insight into who Ahsoka is. And it shows how she feels about losing her friendship to Anakin and Obi-Wan. And not only that, it shows how she kind of was working within the rebellion. And it just gives her a lot more character. It feels like something that was necessary for Ahsoka's character. And because Ahsoka is such a great character already, the book just levels it up. I'm not going to spoil too terribly much more about it because, again, it's such a good book. But I would highly recommend that you guys give it a check out. Number 3. Star Wars Death Troopers. I'm going to get some flack for this one. I already know it. But it's Star Wars horror. Come on. How can you not put that at like the 3rd spot? I mean, come on, guys. So basically what this is it's like taking zombies and Star Wars and slapping them together into a book. It sounds really dumb whenever you say it like that, but it's really, really good. It's scary and it's entertaining, and I liked it a lot. It was probably one of my favorite Star Wars books to read. And that being said, the like favorite versus top 10, what's the difference? There is a difference. This would probably be something that I would read multiple times. I've only read it once so far, because I didn't know about it until like very recently, and it was a good read. It's not the best book, and there are some things that, like, it's clearly drawing just on the fact that it's a horror inside of a Star Wars universe. But that being said, it's pretty good, and I have to give it to the number 3 spot just because it's a very just brave move. You don't do horror in Star Wars unless it's like a bantha, or not bantha, a wampa, like eating flesh or something. It just doesn't work as well, but in this book it surprisingly does. Number 2, Red Harvest. Oh boy, I'm gonna make a lot of people mad today. Red Harvest is basically a prequel book to Death Troopers, and it is the sophomore book of the writer who wrote Death Troopers. That being said, it's actually a little bit better and explains the story of Death Troopers a lot better. It explains how the virus happened, how everything went down, what happened here, what happened there. I'm not going to give away too much, because I think you guys should read both of these. I would recommend that you read Death Troopers first, then go and read Death Harvest. Not Death Harvest. And then go and read Red Harvest. The reason for this is because, honestly, in Death Troopers, you get some parts. I'm not going to say what parts, but you get some parts, and there's callbacks to those in Red Harvest. And you're like, oh yeah, oh, that's what that was. That it's that light bulb aha moment, and you're just like, and it doesn't work the other way around as much. So I would highly recommend that you guys check both of the books out. Read Red Harvest, read Death Troopers. Let's get on to the last one, Aftermath. This is the first book that takes place during the sequel trilogy. And honestly, Chuck Wendig did a pretty damn good job at it. There's a very notable quality bump from the rest of the books that I noticed on this list. And I think it's because it was officially endorsed. That being said, I'm not going to say that it's one of my favorite books, but it's definitely a good read and probably one of the better Star Wars books out there. I actually enjoyed my time with it, and it takes place not within the main characters. It actually is a side character with some cameos from the main characters. I'm not going to give away too much again, obviously. As I've gone up on this list, I've given away less and less. But it's interesting, to say the least. And I think that it's a very good read. I think it's probably some people's favorite book from the Star Wars universe. And I definitely think that's the most well written. I think it's the most tightly knitted. Is it my favorite though? I would say no, but it definitely deserves the #1 spot for being just probably the best made book in the Star Wars universe. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and end that there. May the 4th be with you all. I hope you guys get some new books that you can read. Hopefully you can read some Star Wars horror like Death Troopers and Red Harvest, or maybe you're gonna check out some Revan. Who knows? But all I know is that these books, you guys should read them. They're great books. That being said, you guys know what to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to insult you by telling you what to do. But you know to give this video a big like, because it does help out a lot. Tell a friend today about my Star Wars channel, because it's pretty awesome. And may the Force be with you. Always.